All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if it has BSS for either of these two Google searches. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing in piece from the entire intent spectrum, way over on the left, highest intent, way over on the right, lowest intent. But if a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one or one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, way over on the left, we got BSS boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google. And way over on the left, the lowest intent people, that's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page, page 2 or deeper. That's gonna be a fast death for our business, because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers. Probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, will never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile on Google Maps. They got their website app, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers, because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a superpowered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots even for new peeps was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if the same number of buyers remained then, then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality, this, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine, so pushing me down to page 2, but that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites, and maybe Google will put me back on page 1, because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me, and just kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire, and Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, and we only got 1 slot, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so a disappearing boudoir photographer did having BSS. This is the canary in the coal mine, kind of warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, "Hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear." But luckily, we now have a solution. So that solution, we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. They actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page 1 of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI's here, coming to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So SQ methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website competing to be page 1 on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our S cubed methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page, and 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this SQH methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, once you're with SQH methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page 2. So if we kick them onto page 2, off page 1 and on page 2 deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page 1. Because at 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why Google is recommending us 3 different times and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page 1. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, BBP. So it's our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. This is our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here, organic slot page 1, organic slot page 2, organic slot page 3, slot 4. Well, I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots, and we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. So now we're here to the main event, the main course. Going to see if this boudoir photographer has BSS for either of these Google searches, so local search and a city search. So let's see. So first looking in Gretna, Nebraska, and we got, all right, so we're going to the organic search. So we got 1. Yeah, we got 2. Well, we don't have the word boudoir here, so we don't count that. Slot 3 here, we got boudoir, that counts as 2. Micro photography. Okay, we'll count the 2 without the boudoir. We'll count that as 1. So we got 3 out of 10 slots. Here we go. 4 out of 10 slots. Here's a boudoir. Here's a one that has boudoir on it, and boudoir right there. 5. And then we got and then let's see. Looks like we got 6 here actually. So we got 6 out of 10 for local search. So this is super amazing. And all right, so local search is perfect. And now we're going to go to city search, Omaha, Nebraska. So we're going to go down to the organic. Let's see how many we got local search as well. First for the city search. See we got. All right, we got. Nope. No. All right, so it looks like. All right, dude, we're literally pulling in 0 peeps from Omaha. So we literally got 0 out of 10. So we definitely got BSS for the second search, the city search. But so Gretna, no BSS. We actually hit the GBC minimum, at least 3 out of 10. And Omaha, Nebraska, we're not hitting the. We do have BSS, and we're not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. All right, so if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local search, your local searches, city searches with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you got 0-1 slots for any of them, at least one of them, or you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search for at least one of them, and you've accepted the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. So you know we can actually take as many slots on page 1 Google search as we want. Then, well, Anderson S cubed methodology is the only solution to give you those slots, and it's actually something you've been waiting for. And you're loving the initial benefits, more slots, page 1 Google search, kick in competing boudoir photographers off page 1 Google search, relegate them to page 2 or page 3 or deeper, and never actually having to kind of deal with them as competitors anymore, making them disappear to approximately 80% of Google searches, so approximately 80% of the market. And you understand the market saturation, yeah, more peeps, buy new gear, eventually become boudoir photographers, yeah, they kind of trickle in over time. But you're looking ahead and you're seeing, okay, AI is taking peeps jobs right now, and AI is definitely going to get better and better, so it's going to take more and more peeps jobs over time. And you understand last time that happened, lots of peeps lost their job. COVID massive wave of boudoir photographers came into the marketplace. They're like, uh-oh, massive market saturation is coming, and you're realizing you actually need to fortify your position on page one, which means have so many links that Google wants to rank on page one that there's not enough space to rank them all. So you're actually link stuffing page 2, 3, 4 onward, and basically guarantee no current boudoir photographer can get onto page one, and basically no future boudoir photographer that comes after AI takes their job can ever get onto page one. And you're saying, well, how to get that many links? So you're saying, oh, SQ methodology, that's the only solution. I can give you that fortification. And you're also understanding that when we successfully execute SQ methodology every single day, we're actually creating we're actually creating like these invisible thematic keyword columns that are plugging into our brand, like kind of 360 degrees around our brand. And these are building up back-end keyword AI mindshare for the AI systems, AI searchers out there. And so every day we do this, successfully execute methodology, we're actually increasing the probability that we show up here in AI overview. The most premium placement, we cannot purchase this. And so that's a future benefit of SQ methodology. Another future benefit of SQ methodology is we are actually higher probability that we show up in AI search. So ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Google, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. And this is huge. Increasing its probability every single day is huge because more and more people choose an AI search every single day. Last time I did AI search for boudoir photographer in a city, I actually looked and it recommended me 3. So I went to look manually on Google and Facebook, hey, how many boudoir photographers are actually in the city? Dude, there's like 60. So if AI is only recommended 3, we gotta get there. We gotta have so much back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum that AI has to give recommend those positions to us. And you're also like the fact that my current plan is to work with only one boudoir photographer per city. So you're like, and yeah, you can get all these benefits, but also you can prevent your competitors from getting all these benefits, allowing you to build up a massive like AI mindshare gap, back-end AI keyword mindshare gap for the increased probability of recommended through AI overview and recommended through AI search. And you can actually deny your competitors getting that. So basically you're able to build up a massive gap between you and your competitors and basically make it so big that current competing boudoir photographers can never achieve it or reach it, and future boudoir photographers can never that come in after AI takes their jobs can never catch you. So you decide you're a first mover on this, you can't miss out, and you actually want you're thinking conversely, if one of your competitors were to get on the sign up with me first, you would actually lose out on all the benefits. Your competitor would begin all these links page one. Have so many links page one, they'd actually be overflowing to the future page 2, 3, 4. You would be relegated to page 2 or deeper, and we would obviously have the goal of making you have no chance to ever get to page 1. And then we'd be building a massive keyword, backend AI keyword kind of momentum, mindshare to get recommended AI overview, Google search, and with all the AI search apps. And for you to compete, you'd actually have to go rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, and you'd never have any idea if you've derived it. Well, you'd have to drive it for the first time for yourself. You'd never know if you successfully 100% derived it correctly. And then you'd have to equal our execution every single day. And if you did that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap that we've already massively built ahead of you. And then once that happens, you would actually have to 2 to 3x our execution every single day to start closing that gap and pulling that back-end AI mindshare away from me and your competitor's brand back towards you. But since you're not even 100% confident you've derived it correctly in the first place, it's hard to put in that much effort to something you're not confident in. And when you actually think about it, you're like, dude, who's got 80 hours per day to do all this stuff? So you decide, screw that. You're actually going to be the first mover in your city, get all these benefits. So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed for new patient intake, but when we do open our DMs for new patient intake, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify.